anyone who's watched this channel for longer than 45 seconds could tell you that I am a huge fan of fantasy fiction. And one of the great things about this genre is you can do almost anything with it. You don't have to approximate anything close to the laws of physics. You can blend it with any other genre. I've seen magic detective stories, magic romances. In a lot of cases, you don't even have to hold to your story's own internal logic if you're clever enough to get away with it. So it's so strange when, in a genre where you can do literally anything, so many people end up reusing the same bad ideas. Welcome to the Book Cafe, and today we're talking about fantasy tropes that need to die. Alright, so the first thing is that each of these tropes has a reason why it exists. They are useful on at least some level. The thing is, they've gotten overused and kind of boring. So let's talk about why this one exists. When you're entering a fantasy world, you know nothing about it. Without an audience surrogate character, you quickly get lost. Luke Skywalker can't know what the Jedi are. Harry Potter can't know anything about the Wizarding World. Neo can't know anything about the Matrix, because the audience doesn't know. So they have to learn with us, so that we can learn with them. That's why Luke Skywalker was raised on a random planet on a moisture farm. Harry Potter was adopted outside of the wizarding community, and Neo was freed from the Matrix very late in his life. Now, if you don't have that, you end up with something like Malazan Book of the Fallen, which, aside, is really well written. I can't get through it because I have no idea what's going on, and the book refuses to explain. In a medieval setting, if you want someone who doesn't know a lot about the setting, the politics, pretty much anything, farmers are a good place to go. Small villages don't have a lot of contact outside of their particular spheres. It's very plausible that someone who grew up there wouldn't know a lot. The problem comes that writers want their main characters to also be people of influence. And that's a really difficult balance. A really easy way to deal with that is make the farm boy be secret royalty. The first few times someone tried that, it was probably new and innovative. Now everyone does it. It's no longer surprising, it's no longer interesting. You're left wondering why all of these princes and princesses are going off to have secret children that are being raised on farms with no knowledge of their heritage. Once or twice you could see it. When it happens in every single book across the entire genre, it starts to strain believability, and it's no longer interesting. It's no longer fun. And you're just sort of like, come on, really? So, start going for slightly more difficult alternatives. For instance, Farm Boy knows he is secretly a prince. Farm Boy thinks he is secretly a prince and is mistaken. That's a fun one. Or just have your main character be a prince or princess or lord from the start. Have them be sheltered aristocrats, street urchins, blacksmith's apprentices. There are hundreds of other jobs in a medieval type world, other than farm boy who is secretly royalty. Closely related to that is the Chosen One. The Chosen One is a shorthand for why a particular person is going on their particular quest. Why the main character is important for the story. The problem is that as soon as the one is chosen, it strips a lot of the character from them. It invalidates a lot of their arc because they are suddenly important. And there's no struggle to it. There's no challenge. Yes, they'll have to prove that they're the chosen one, but once you've been chosen, that's not the hard part. So, imagine something different. Imagine that there is no chosen one. Imagine that your character had to work for everything. That the only reason your character is successful is not because some blind woman or bearded dude said they would be, but because they actually put in the effort to become respected. That the reason why they're doing this is not because of some prophecy, but because they chose to. Doesn't that make for a better story? Jumping off that last one, because the people who usually choose the one are prophets and oracles. Prophecies are a fun way to add a little mystery and some wow factor to your fantasy. Wonder, that's the word I was looking for. But it's really easy for that to backfire. Take, for instance, the Sword of Truth. The prophecies that every so often someone called the Seeker, chosen one, will arise to defeat great evil. Why do we care? That's like saying it's going to rain at some point in the next 2 months in New York City. Great, I'm a prophet now. You make your prophecies too vague and there's no longer any point to them. And all you do is make your story exactly like everyone else's. Prophecies are hard. So if you want to write a convincing world, here's some tips. First and easiest, drop the prophecy entirely. Do you need it as a story element? No? Then write around it. Second, let's say you do need a prophecy. Write the rest of the book first. Then figure out a prophecy based on the events of the story. Add some either-or clauses into your prophecy to make it possible for the hero to fail. Boom! Now you have suspense. Add some ambiguity to the prophecy. If you've read Mistborn, it has the best usage of prophecy I've ever seen, because you don't know what the prophecy is about until the very end. Star Wars is an odd one. They have their whole prophecy about Anakin Skywalker being the chosen one, and it comes true after he's basically destroyed the entire galaxy. You have a prophecy, make it miss things. Or, for the truly brave among you, make the prophecy an outright lie. Everyone believes it, and it's a complete fiction. Villain made it up. Or it's just an old wives' tale. Moving on a little to more modern fantasy settings, this trope makes more sense than most of the rest of the ones in this video. It's more of a personal pet peeve. The reason why it exists is because when supernatural things start happening in a non-supernatural setting, there are going to be skeptics. The problem is a lot of writers have this misconception about scientists that all of them are closed-minded and only believe in the science dogma. The whole thing about science is rejecting dogma. As someone who's related to a scientist who, mind you, was dead set on becoming Batman for over a decade, I can tell you that if he saw something supernatural, he would be absolutely thrilled at the prospect of getting to research it. He wouldn't believe it was supernatural at first, but he wouldn't dismiss it out of hand either. In science, you have to make a bunch of hypotheses in order to make a theory. That thing that just came out of the hole in the sky and is burning people as a dragon is actually a legitimate hypothesis, which, as part of science, then you have to go about disproving. Scientists are smart people. The problem is that most fictional scientists are written by writers, and we tend not to like them. Right, so this last one's a little weird, because it is not by itself bad. The idea of a secret magical world hiding beneath our regular one has been around for a while. I couldn't really say how long, but it's a staple of a lot of modern fantasy stories. The problem is that we've reached the point where that requires a lot of justification. Why? Because of this. Everyone and their mom has a high-definition camera in their pockets these days. So if a vampire goes into the middle of New York City to feed on someone, I guarantee you someone will catch it on camera turning into a bat. And special effects, CGI, camera trickery, leaves an imprint. Eventually someone will analyze the video and realize it's not being faked. This is real. Harry Potter could get away with not having this problem because it was set in the 1990s, when people didn't carry cameras around all the time, and when we didn't have the internet to disseminate all of these photos immediately. Percy Jackson has the mist, which actually prevents mortals from being able to see all of the supernatural stuff. But if your story doesn't have that, if it doesn't have something to censor the weirdness, then your masquerade is going to be completely unbelievable. Someone is going to break it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because that brings you an entirely new class of story. A modern world where the supernatural has just come back to light, where all of the myths and legends are true and we're only just finding out. Or maybe we've always known. Put it simply, if your main character can punch someone through a skyscraper, let them. Show all of Manhattan. Magic is real and there ain't no hiding it. It's a new story. New frontier. Give it a shot. Thanks for watching my little rant on the fantasy tropes that rub me the wrong way and ways I think they can be fixed. If you have your own suggestions for tropes that you dislike, make sure to add them in the comments below. Show it by clicking the like button, here on the Dragon to subscribe, or here to watch the previous book from the writer's table. I'll be seeing everyone next week. Until then, read good fantasy.